second series. Gonna be 3 games of Spider versus mawkzy. Spider at the moment is not in the top 100s. However, mawkzy is number 2, right behind Lion Blaze, I think. As we all know, Lion Blaze stole every single number 1 spot in the main 3 playlists. 1v1, 2v2, and 3v3. He got number 1 in all 3 of them at the same time. Very impressive. Only a few handful of players have ever done that. But I did skim over a play here by Spider, where he went backwards and tried to do what Mile does. Mile, of course, being the high-level once player. You haven't seen him in that long. Like, it's been a long time since I've seen him, but he used to do that a lot in the Batmobile. He used to go backwards a lot. Spider in the lead. He's a massive underdog in this game. But that doesn't mean that mawkzy is definitely gonna win, because we've seen upsets before, and we've seen strong air dribble bumps like this. In the first minute of this, it looks like Spider has been dominating, but that's only the first minute. You can't really extrapolate any useful information out of that. Flick. But it goes over. However, I don't think Spider cares that much. He just wants to be defensive at the moment. He doesn't want to overcommit, which is why he doesn't care that much about the unfortunate flick. This is a much better position, but gets pin maneuvered. Shrug 50 by Spider to recover. He got an awkward touch, so mawkzy could have probably taken advantage of that, but good recovery by Spider. Good 50 as well, or rather, it's not really a 50. Flicked by mawkzy, and it's an own goal. That's great. You love to see it. Complete standstill. Good decision there by mawkzy to, instead of flicking it backwards or forwards, you flick it to the side. And so you can recover to get a couple of pads here and there, and also so that Spider can't take the ball easily. Good save by mawkzy. Has to be careful, has very little boost. A little bit of a hard touch for mawkzy. Or sorry, for Spider. Good. mawkzy gets that boost, and he does go aggressive there. A very nice place. mawkzy wants to go in the air. Goes for a ceiling. Gets a musty. It's an okay shot, but he does get the dunk on Spider. The musty was fine. Definitely savable, as Spider proved right there. But it was very important for mawkzy to get that recovery dunk. And that's an amazing save. What happened there? I don't even know what happened. Somehow, mawkzy shot too weak, and then Spider could recover into a post pinch. And now both players are not... They don't understand what's going on, it seems. Like, they're playing it very slowly. Unnaturally slowly, I would say, even for this high level. mawkzy leaves the ball for the boost, and as we know, if you do that in that position, you get scored on, because the ball chaser always wins against the boost hogger. mawkzy gets a bump actually. Shoots, but it's a little bit too weak. Spider can't recover immediately to shoot, so he has to take it off the wall instead for a possession play. mawkzy has to be careful here. Spider gets the boost. Very fortunate for him. Right now, mawkzy is just trying to waste as much of Spider's boost as possible. He's not interested in doing anything particularly interesting. However, he does get punished. That's it. Like, he doesn't get punished because his play was weak. He got punished because there was an accidental front flip a little bit too early. And so he spun out. Takes it on one side, has to give up on that flick play. A flick. No flick. It's a good fake, but Spider doesn't bite. A shot here by Spider. No, he chooses instead to hold it. Can he go for a bump? Yes, he could, but he doesn't want to. Should be able to. Sure. A pinch on that back wall would have probably been a lot better, but sure, that works. Scaring me quite a lot. A good shot by mawkzy, but it's off target. One goal lead for Spider here. Spider can go in here. He's been very strong in the interval game. Let's be careful now. And that was interesting. What happened there? Spider was in a comfortable position to recover to shadow, or at least defend as mawkzy could have shot, but instead he is back-footed and it's tied. mawkzy goes in the air, gets the air dribble bump, and it's a goal. 1 goal lead for mawkzy. And that's the game right there. That was actually, I thought that was a forfeit for a second, but that was just it. A lot of really strong plays this game. But what happened with the save? I don't understand. So if we look from mawkzy's perspective, he's just gonna flick it, but he accidentally... What happened there? So he gets the flick, which is okay, and then he somehow recovers. I don't understand how this works. Rocket League is a strange game that probably shouldn't play because it's, I don't know, possessed by demon. Like, 99 out of 100 times, mawkzy should have scored there, but somehow this didn't happen. What happened here? Oh, there was an aggressive challenge play by Spider, and so he thought probably that mawkzy had very little boost, even though he had, like, mawkzy had enough comfortable boost, and so he could have just, instead of rooting it so that you go to the circle in the middle, he instead wanted to go aggressive because he thought, well, mawkzy's acceleration is not going to be really good, not like good at all. It's going to be poor. So I might as well try to contest the challenge. But as we saw, mawkzy did have enough boost. He had a lot of boost in that. He had, as he was going here, he had, yeah, he will have, yeah. If Spider reads the play of, or rather reads his opponent that he has a lot of boost, it makes no sense to go for this play, to go for this challenge. But I'm gonna assume that Spider thought mawkzy had no boost and could not accelerate fast enough. And thus he was punished with this everywhere play. That was barely ahead of scoring at 1 second, enabling Spider to go for a kickoff, but that second counter ticked off right at a good time for mawkzy. So he'll have to come with a retribution in the second game instead. Game 2, Spider versus mawkzy. These 3 games were played around a month ago. And this game and the next game were played in succession on the same day. And then the previous game that we just looked at was played a couple of days before that. Or rather, the same night, because these guys are ranked warriors and they don't stop for sleep. I.e., these were all played in the dead of night. So let's see how Spider will react a couple of days later to mawkzy's place. I believe that Spider has the ability to come back. Like, he's shown an incredible amount of skill that only you can only dream of. That's an aggressive play by mawkzy there. He gets punished for it. And oh no, that's a miss. That's an open-end miss from Spider, and he has no one to blame but himself. There was nothing that mawkzy could have done in that open-end situation but hope, and that's an incredibly hard shot. Or rather, that's an incredibly fast shot for mawkzy. Who's up by 2. Should have been an equalized game. Spider goes in the air. Wants revenge. Gets a good ceiling shot, and he does go in because mawkzy goes a little bit too early. And thusly, Spider can just read what mawkzy is doing. Good shot by mawkzy. It's hard. It's fast. Well, technically in Rocket League, hard and fast mean the same thing. Because there's no way to affect the weight of the ball or the weight of your car. So, yeah. Anyway, you know what has a lot of weight? Spider's car, as he's demo. Goes for the very aggressive missile demo, where you just aim at your opponent. You don't even care about the ball like you would in a normal edible bump or edible demo. Where you kind of lob the ball in the air and then you just drive as fast as you can. Shot by mawkzy is a late flick, and it's a good flick. I've seen him done this a couple of times now, in not only this game, but in also the other ranked thing I did with mawkzy, this gameplay, and also seen him in show matches. He's been doing that quite a lot. Where he's about to... It looks like he's about to fake, but actually he's just delaying his flick. It catches pretty much everyone off guard. And then works really well. But it's a hard mechanic to master. mawkzy here gets a good 50 because he... And that's a forfeit! As I was saying, he gets a good 50 because he doesn't want to overcommit. And that's a forfeit? Or unless Psionics gave him a duplication glitch. Did Spider. So okay, let's see here. mawkzy gets a pretty good controlled flick here. No, it looked like it doesn't look like he disconnected, because if a disconnect, here we're gonna do some detective stuff. If he had to be disconnected, that means that he would move his car, right? And then immediately, like he would go from moving his car like quite a lot to just disappear. That's a disconnect. But he stopped his car as to say, I forfeit. This doesn't bode well at all for the last game. Let's see. So here was the little shot. That's a fast shot right there. Good luck to the poor guy who has to try and defend this stuff. You got it right before it bounces, but you also have to time it so that when you hit it, it doesn't actually touch the floor. So it has to be as late as possible, but earlier than touching the floor, after the hit, of course. So the ball drops down, and you hit it before it spots the ground. But you hit it early enough, so that after the shot, it also doesn't reach the ground. But mawkzy's shooting has been on point in this game. Enough to leave Spider FFing. Forfeiting the game quite early, actually. It was only... We only played like 2.5 minutes, half a game. So I'm not too optimistic anymore about the last game, but like, anything could happen. We've always seen this, but also at the same time, as I said, these two games were played pretty close to each other. Not back to back, but a couple of hours. So maybe Spider's tilted throughout his entire game. Hopefully not. Hopefully we'll see a good game and a good performance on the last game of this evening. Game 3, the last game that these two players, mawkzy and Spider, played. And mawkzy with the little disconnect there for a second. Fake disconnect to get a goal. Cheeky. Interesting to note, in the first game that we saw of Spider versus mawkzy, it was mawkzy in the Octane, Spider in the Fennec. The second game, which was a couple of days afterwards, both players were using the Fennec. Good play there by mawkzy. And in this game, it's mawkzy in the Fennec and Spider in the Octane. So they have been doing a little bit of relaying of card change throughout these 3 games. But let's see if Spider is a little bit tilted, because we saw that in the previous game that he forfeited with 2.5 minutes left. If he gets a strong performance in the beginning here, he should be good to go, but a couple of weak opportunities for Spider has yielded him 2-0 down. Or rather, 2 goals down. Good play there by Spider to fake a shot to get the control. To the opposite side. No, he doesn't want to do that. Instead, it's mawkzy who gets the open net. Gets a straight on runaway. Good 50 by Spider. mawkzy with nothing. Spider could shoot it. He doesn't. Waits and waits and waits. Shoots it off target, but he does retain control. He has to be careful though. mawkzy's right there, and he has picked up an entire canister. So instead, it's now mawkzy on the runaway. It's 4-0 down. Doesn't look good, but he can come back. Anything can happen in Rocket League. Like a 4-goal lead this far down is not the worst of issues. However, that is one of the worst of issues if you just forfeit right there. Was this another forfeit? It seemed so. It wasn't a disconnect, because then he would have disappeared. But he was a forfeit already. Even earlier, way earlier this time, with almost a minute earlier. That has to be some kind of record, right? Oh boy, I feel bad for Spider. Honestly, he did not deserve this. He's a strong player, but I think the tilt got a little bit too much in his head, and regrettably, he had to forfeit a whole game. A little bit less than a whole game from the previous game and this one. No, it's actually a little bit more, because he forfeited 230 and around 320, so that's more than a game of forfeited. It's very unfortunate. But we just see the mental strength of mawkzy. mawkzy's been playing really well in the first game. He wasn't tilted at all, even though he was getting outplayed sometimes. And mawkzy has that kind of mental strength. Like, let's, instead of looking this negatively at Spider and see that, like, oh, he was playing like bad. No, he wasn't. Spider is an incredibly, like, well-trained player. He has a lot of hours, and he's very high leveled. But it's more like a sign of strength of how great of a player mawkzy is. There's a good reason why at the moment he's number 2 on the leaderboard. So even though it might look very weak here, it's actually a lot more nuanced in a strong performance for mawkzy rather than a poor performance from Spider. Like the first game, we saw Spider at his best. It was a 1-goal game. He almost won, in fact. But unfortunately, he had to yield to a loss.